There are many things that can go wrong with video games. Sometimes they can glitch, sometimes they can be poorly designed, and sometimes the console just hates you. Yes, back in the day, there was a time when video game consoles would actively try to traumatize you if you did just the slightest thing wrong, leading to a number of horrific error screens that gave us heart attacks as kids, and here are some of my own personal nightmares from that time. Way back in 2000, I have vague memories of one of my older cousins owning a console called the Atari Jaguar. This is one of those consoles that was long since dead by the time I came across it, but every time I saw the box in my cousin's bedroom, it always scared me. Something about those cat eyes just made me not want to look at it. But it's a good thing I never saw this disturbing error screen. If you don't hook the cartridge up properly, you get one angry Jaguar growling at you. It's like the console wants to teach you a lesson for daring to upset it. I mean, the red screen is bad enough, but that snarl is just pure nightmare fuel. If I saw this back then, I probably would have thought a real Jaguar was going to pounce out of the TV and rip my throat out. Thanks, Atari. When it comes to my real childhood, it all began with the Sega Mega Drive, my first ever console. This one's a real pain, because while there isn't any kind of error screen, most of the time the console would just fail to boot up, no matter how much you blew on the cartridge. You had to take the game out and put it back in a ton of times before it would work, and sometimes you'd think it was working, but then the screen would just get stuck on that Sega Enterprises logo, which I always took as kind of an error screen in itself. It's like a threatening gatekeeper, refusing to let you into the land of Sonic 3 or something. I still get shivers up my spine when I see it. When it comes to later Sega consoles though, the fear took a big notch up. The Sega Dreamcast, for instance, has an unusual feature where if you insert the disc into anything other than the console, the CD will play this eerie warning.
This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers. Please stop this disc now.
Like, what's up with evil British lady telling us off like we're school kids? The funny thing is that apparently Sega wised up to people doing this so much, developers would create unique warnings depending on the game.
If you continue, you run the risk of transmitting deadly viral diseases to your household electronic appliances.
The first track has game data on it, so don't go trying to play it.
We can't save the world from a CD player, so just put us back in the Dreamcast so we can do our job.
Isn't that crazy? The one thing they didn't want you to do is what they would reward you for with some amusing warning. I've always had a soft spot for the Nintendo GameCube, which has one of the most optimistic startup sequences. It just puts you in a happy mood. And did you know that if you hold the Z button on one controller, you get an alternate version of it? And if you hold Z on all 4 controllers, you get an even different version. And if you hook 4 GameCubes together and hold Z on 16 controllers, you will explode. But despite its lack of major traumatic error screens, the GameCube did have a few minor surprises. One involves the Game Boy Player, which, as I talked about before, allows you to play a selection of Game Boy titles. But if you don't connect it properly, or rip a cartridge out without ejecting, you get someone banging their fist on a piano. What gives? It's like a friendly grandparent suddenly picking up a knife and trying to disembowel you. I almost feel like the GameCube has some dark split personality bubbling under the surface. Maybe if you really make it mad, it actually will try to murder you. Another classic from those days was the original Xbox, which has one of the darkest yet awesome startup screens. It's like a mad scientist lab coming to life. Of course, the Xbox has the rather boring yet eerie error screens that can pop up without warning. They just look even more alien than the console, probably due to the warning being written in multiple languages, and God only knows what those numbers meant. Hieroglyphical experts are still trying to decipher them now. But one crazy thing about Xbox games is that if you inserted one into a PS2, it would register as a DVD instead of a game, and treat you to this cool, edgy animation. While it might come across as a bit of a jump scare if you didn't know about it before, it's almost like a secret Xbox advert. Like, yeah, look at how cool we are, come and play our games instead. It kind of works. My favourite console, however, was always the PlayStation. The original PlayStation will always be a legend, but all legends have a dark side, and that sadly includes some unnerving material. Like, take the original PS1 startup sequence. It's cool, but I also found it a bit creepy. It's very loud, and that chime is like being granted access to a world that will change your life forever. It always makes me think of playing games in the middle of the night, terrified but elated at the same time. The really frightening thing is that sometimes these startup screens can become corrupted with distorted noises, but lucky for you, I'm not vindictive enough to subject you to that. Some games would even have inbuilt piracy detection to mess with you, like the infamous Spyro 3 warning.
I'm sorry, Spyro, but you seem to be playing a hacked version of this game. This may be an illegal copy. Since this copy has been modified, you may experience problems that would not occur on a legal copy.
I know that would have screwed me up something fierce thinking the game was self-aware. There was also a normal disc error screen, of course, in blood red with a grammatically incorrect warning. Shouldn't it be insert a PlayStation format disc? Again, it's like you've upset the PlayStation, and punishment will soon be arriving, but it never quite does. That is, unless you bought the PlayStation 2, when the greatest form of gaming nightmare fuel arrived in the guise of this pleasant menu. It seems very soothing at first, with the sound of the ocean waves putting you in a relaxing mood. I remember some PS2 magazines even saying it was a good hangover cure to listen to this kind of gentle sound, but the PS2 has a very short fuse. It gets angry, it gets nasty with you, because if you end up putting a game from another console or a dodgy DVD into it, you get taken deep into the bowels of PlayStation hell. I refuse to believe this was unintentional. I think they designed this logo to frighten the living daylights out of those of us with a deep aversion to this kind of thing. The discordant music is bad enough, like you broke the PS2's happy mode, but the red screen and floating cubes is like staring at some kind of hellish vortex. I still remember the first time I ever saw this, when I put a PC version of The Simpsons Hit and Run into the PS2, foolishly curious about what might happen, and when I saw just a split second of that dark red void, I ran screaming from the room. All through my childhood, this has haunted me, and it only got creepier every time it would pop up. In fact, one time it was so bad, I actually started to get sucked into it. I had to hold on to the sides of the TV to save myself, you know? But that's game consoles for you. Your PC might spit out a blue screen of death, but these machines would always go the extra mile to horrify us for disobedience. Every one of these warnings is like a punishment, a small amount of jail time you have to spend in fear, with the console as the judge, jury, and executioner. And yeah, I know some people would be like, I never found this scary, but maybe try to think about why someone else might find it scary, instead of everything being in black and white. It's not a bravado contest. Some gamers might have spared themselves from this horror by putting hard drives in their consoles and using emulators, but for those of us who still prefer putting physical discs in, it's a fearful risk we have to take every time. But that taste of history is always worth it, and long may our bravery continue. Sleep well, everyone.